Your air conditioner is roaring. It's July. The thermostat says 76. You set it to 68. And above your head, in a space you visit maybe twice a year, the temperature is past 140 degrees. The back of your neck is wet. The floor near the hallway feels warm under your socks. That attic is not protecting your house. It is cooking it. And every hour it cooks, your power meter spins, and somebody in a glass building cashes a check with your name on it. The Amish solved this 200 years ago. No electricity, no fans, $4 in materials, 1 hour of work. Any house built before 1980. The first time I walked into an Amish farmhouse outside Millersburg, in the middle of an August heat wave, I stood in the upstairs bedroom and looked for a vent. There was no vent. There was no fan. I had a 3-ton central air unit costing me $240 a month at home. Their upstairs bedroom was cooler than mine. They had no machine at all. I want to show you exactly what they do. What document I found buried in a university extension archive from 1943 that confirms it works, and why almost nobody talks about this anymore. If you already own your house, this is for you. You do not need to rebuild anything. You need about an hour and the right $4. Here's what most people get wrong about an attic. They think of it as part of the house. It is not. In a properly designed home, the attic is a sacrificial buffer. It is supposed to be a layer of air that takes the punishment of the sun, so the rooms below stay comfortable. But the way American houses have been built since roughly the 1960s, the attic stopped being a buffer and became a furnace. Builders sealed it up, stuffed it with the cheapest insulation they could find, punched in 2 undersized soffit vents and a single ridge vent, called it done. Then they sold you a bigger air conditioner to compensate. The Amish never made that mistake because they could not. They never had electric air conditioning to fall back on. So when they built a house, every single decision had to actually work in real heat with no machine to bail them out. And the technique they relied on most goes by an old name. You may have heard your grandfather use it. The cupola, not the decorative kind you see on top of fancy garages today. The functional kind. A small wooden tower at the highest point of the roof with louvered openings on all 4 sides and a clear vertical shaft running straight down through the attic, sometimes all the way to a hallway on the 2nd floor. That shaft is the engine of the whole system. Hot air rises. It always rises. In a sealed attic, that hot air has nowhere to go, so it just sits there, baking through your ceiling drywall and pushing into your bedrooms all night long. In an Amish farmhouse, the cupola gives that hot air a chimney. The hottest air in the entire structure climbs to the top of that shaft, exits through the louvers, and pulls cooler air in behind it from the lower windows. They call it the stack effect. Engineers call it buoyancy-driven ventilation. I read a paper from the University of Florida Extension Service dated 1943, written during the war when air conditioning was a luxury and people had to think clearly about heat. The paper documented temperature drops of 14 to 19 degrees Fahrenheit inside upstairs rooms when a working cupola was added to a wood frame farmhouse. 14 to 19 degrees, without a single watt of electricity. That paper sat in an archive for 80 years, while you and I paid power companies thousands of dollars to do worse than what a hole in the roof did for free. Now you might be thinking, fine, but cupolas are expensive, and I cannot put one on my house this weekend. You are right, and that is exactly why I want to tell you about the second piece of this puzzle. Because this is where the $4 comes in, and this is the part the Amish carpenters in Holmes County showed me that I had never seen written down anywhere. Inside their attics, where the rafters meet the ridge beam, they nail strips of untreated cotton muslin cloth across the underside of the roof boards. Just plain cotton. The same kind you can buy at any fabric store for about $1 a yard. 4 yards covers the average attic ridge in a 1,600 square foot home. $4 total. The cotton does something I did not understand the first time I saw it. When the sun beats down on the shingles and the roof deck heats up to 160 degrees, the wood radiates that heat downward. Radiant heat does not care about insulation in the floor. It travels in straight lines and slams into whatever is below it. The cotton muslin breaks that. It absorbs a small amount of moisture from the night air. And during the day, as the roof heats up, the cotton releases that moisture as a slow evaporative cooling layer right at the source of the heat. It is the same principle as a wet bandana on the back of your neck, applied to the hottest part of your entire house. The Amish family I stayed with in Berlin, Ohio, had been doing this for 4 generations. The grandfather told me his own grandfather learned it from a Mennonite stonemason who immigrated from the Palatinate region of Germany in 1847. He said in the old country they used linen. In Pennsylvania, cotton was cheaper, so they switched. The technique came over on a boat. Nobody patented it, nobody sold it, so nobody knows about it. Now, if you already own a house and you are thinking this only applies to people building from scratch, stay with me, because this next part is specifically for you. You do not need a cupola to get most of the benefit. You need to understand what a cupola actually does and then replicate it with what you already have. A cupola does two things. It exhausts the hottest air at the highest point, and it creates a low-pressure zone that pulls cooler air in from below. You can do both of those things in a house built in 1962 without cutting a single new hole in your roof. Here is how. First, find your gable vents. Almost every American house built between 1940 and 1990 has triangular wooden vents on the two short ends of the attic, up near the peak. Most of them are clogged with paint, bird nests, or insulation that some contractor blew in carelessly 30 years ago. Get up in your attic on a cool morning. Take a flashlight. Look at those vents from the inside. If you can see daylight through them clearly, good. If you cannot, you have just found the first reason your house is overheating. Clean them. Pull out the debris. If they are screened and the screen is rusted or coated in dust, replace the screen with new aluminum mesh. This costs about $3 at any hardware store. Second, and this is the trick I learned from an Amish carpenter named Eli Miller in Mount Hope, Ohio. He told me that on his uncle's house, they hang a sheet of plain white cotton muslin, the same $4 fabric I mentioned earlier, across the inside of the gable vent on the sunny side of the house. The cotton acts as a radiant filter. It lets air pass through, but it blocks the direct radiant heat that pours through an open vent on a sunny afternoon. The cotton stays cool because the air moving through it carries away the heat before it can build up. He said his uncle's attic runs about 18 degrees cooler in August than the neighbor's attics on the same road. Third, and this is the part that ties it all together, you need to create a draw at night. After sunset, when the outside air drops below 80 degrees, open the lowest windows in your house on the shaded side, just a few inches. Then go up to the attic and confirm both gable vents are clear. The hot air that built up all day will rise through your attic, exit the gable vents, and pull cool night air through your living rooms behind it. By morning, the wood frame of your house has shed most of its stored heat, and your air conditioner does not have to fight a furnace all day. The whole technique takes maybe 40 minutes to set up the first time. Costs you $4 in cotton, $3 in screen mesh, and $0 after that for the rest of your life.